So, South Korea, huh? I'm no expert in domestic politics on the peninsula, but I can tell you some useful things about coups, or coup-like substances rooted in declarations of martial law. For one thing, let's talk for a moment about the rally round the flag effect and diversionary war, or, I guess in this case, a phantom war allegedly involving North Korea. The basic idea is that you create some sort of international crisis so that all domestic attention flows that way, and you can solidify your role in government. And the attempt here was a doozy. The banning of all political activities, while simultaneously prohibiting the denial of democracy, prohibiting work stoppages, and legalizing warrantless arrests. Palpatine would be proud. Now, whether attempting a diversionary strategy like this is a good idea depends on a couple of factors. And as much as I hate 2x2 boxes that try to explain the world, here we are. On one axis is whether you have a popular leader absent any sort of crisis. On the other is whether you have a leader that the population trusts. Usually, these things go hand in hand. Popular and trustworthy leaders, and unpopular and untrustworthy leaders. But that is not always the case. For example, a leader might just be unpopular because he pursues policies that people do not like, but is otherwise a respectable person. If you are a popular leader, then you do not need to take bizarre risks to try to stay in office. You already have that on lockdown. The other half may try given a lack of alternatives, but it is only the trustworthy quadrant that has a good chance of pulling it off. South Korea, in contrast, fell into the unpopular, untrustworthy case. Actually, some of the main drivers of his disapproval were corruption allegations involving him and his wife, along with concerns of democratic backsliding. Basically, he played right into the narrative. And, as one would expect under such conditions, the enterprise, perhaps best technically characterized as an autoglope, failed within hours. But there is another favorite paper of mine that helps explain why it failed so spectacularly. You might recall from when the whole Prigozhin Thunder Run saga was playing out. The key to winning a coup-like substance is to convince everyone else that you have already won, and so the easiest thing for everyone else to do is to go along with it. In contrast, basically everyone turned against the president at the very first minute, including members of his own political party. The result was the National Assembly overturning the law 190-0 before any blissfully ignorant South Koreans had woken up. But why did his own party not get in line? Well, getting back to the point from that paper, post-Cold War, the United States is perfectly happy to sanction countries following coups that do not promote democracy. So even if the coup had been successful, the United States would have ensured that the economy left over in South Korea would not have been worth fighting over. Moving along, I think one of the more interesting aspects of the whole situation is that the markets that follow the South Korean economy dropped by about 5% upon the declaration of martial law. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, only 5%? But I suspect that what was going on here is that the markets essentially bet that none of it was going to work, precisely because of how Western countries would apply economic pressure otherwise, and that, in turn, would force the National Assembly to resolve the problem quickly, which is exactly what happened. Moral of the story? I guess if you are an unpopular president, sometimes you should just know when to take the L. Meanwhile, if you want to learn more about coup-like substances... Hey, wait a minute. I don't have a book on the subject. I guess I will just have to take the L myself and instead tell you to like, share, and subscribe, and that I will see you next time. Take care.